Okay. All right, guys, we're going to get started. I'd like to thank everybody for being here, first of all. It's kind of our rigging seminar, theater safety. We're going to cover some of the rigging. We're not going to do any rigging today, but we are going to cover some of the aspects of it. We're blessed to be at the Southern Theater today, thanks to Jason and the Kappa Association. Speaking of masks we got on, if we're 6 feet apart, you don't have to wear your mask by CDC guidelines. So if you guys stay 6 feet apart, such as I am from you, you don't necessarily have to have your mask pulled up the whole time. If you do get up, be courteous of others. If you're going to get up and walk by someone, please go back to the protocol as you're moving through. Little about this theater. This theater was built in 1896. It's the oldest surviving theater in Central Ohio. Very well redone. Between 1889 and 1893, there was a series of fires in Columbus. It burnt down 5 theaters in just a few years. There's a lot going on. We were using natural gas for lighting. There was a lot of flame in the theaters at that time. Of course, we've certainly got better with that. So there was a small group of businessmen that decided to develop a new hotel and theater with modern construction, safety features on the south end of Columbus, south end of downtown Columbus. And that would be us, where we're at, and it's called the Great Southern, they named it. The hotel was built out of fireproof tile, brick, iron, and steel, and concrete. And if you look around comparing to other theaters, there's not a bunch of exit doors. And that really wasn't brought to mind. I didn't really think about that until after I did some background on this building. It was built not to be able to burn. Same with the hotel that it's attached to. Good stuff. One of the first buildings to ever use electricity, and the hotel generated their own electricity. They had their own power plant inside the building. There was 3 wells underneath this building and the hotel that supplied their own water. So the hotel had its own water supply and its own electric. So it was a pretty modern facility for the time, especially in the early 1900s when this was going on. Pardon me? That would be a good question to research. Normally, when I give meetings, I do like a parking lot. Since there's a small group today and we're not really going in depth on a lot of things, you do a little parking lot. When people have questions such as yourself, I would just ask you to write that on the parking lot and we would cover it either on break or after class, but either way we would find an answer to all those questions. So it just keeps, we don't have a lot of material to go through, so it's not that big a deal. But when we come to other training courses, you'll see that that tool is very useful to get through the amount of material you need to get through and the time that you've set aside and the people have set aside. So, little housekeeping tips. Bathrooms are up to the right. The doors is propped open. Fire extinguishers. There's fire extinguishers on each side of the stage. Fire exits. We can go straight out this way or back through these fire exits here. There is an AED machine right over here. Is there anybody here trained in CPR? Okay. I would like to appoint you as my helper if something happens. You'd be my assistant, okay? Appreciate that. I'm taking a train-the-trainer CPR coming up this weekend. We're going to have CPR, AED, and first aid classes in March. those will be free classes. You will be able to get your certification card for your wallet through Red Cross. I will make sure you get that card. That's not a problem. How many others? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9. There's 9 of us in the building here. If we have to exit this building for any reason, our rally point is the garage across the street, okay? Which is more or less across from the police building, or the municipal building. That's our rally point. 9 of us. When we get there, there needs to be all 9 of us, or we need to let someone know. And that's just in case of a fire, a live shooter event, anything like that, so we could make sure all of our crew is taken care of and leave nobody behind. So, I'll point you, if something happens, to go to the back door and to the stage door and assist EMS in. So when we would call 911, we would tell them we were at the Southern Theater and we were at the back, to come to the backstage door, and we have someone there to assist them to the patient. And it's a big responsibility. It's like sitting in the certain planes in the airport or in the airplane. Pardon me? Right. Yeah, and these are pretty basic safety things that we do, leading into any meeting that we need. We need to know who's got CPR. We need to know how to get in. When you're in a restaurant, I go in a restaurant, I look around, I see fire exits. It's very important that we're aware of our surroundings all the time. On the plane, when I fly, I tend to stay towards the front of the plane because all the pilots and the attendants are solely trained on staying alive. So those are the people that you want to be next to. Well, they normally ask you if you're sitting in those emergency seats with the doors, do you speak English? You have to verbally say yes. Are you willing to help people out? And you have to say yes, or they will remove you from that seat. I was on a plane with a guy that got moved out of a seat because he said, heck yeah, I'll help everybody out. I'll say, follow me. They moved him out of that seat, because that's not exactly what they were looking for. Any drinks up here, just touch what you're going to drink. If you pick up a water, pick up one water that you're going to have. Same with the candy or anything that's up there. A little bit about COVID as we're going through this. That's why you guys are seated the way you are. We all understand that. It's the same kind of things. I just want to push on you guys is wash your hands when you're within 6 feet. Wear your mask. Be considerate of the people around you. And I think that's going to be more important when we get back to work, is that we're considerate of the people around us. There's people that are having financial problems. There's people who have had deaths in their families, child care issues, and I think we're all in this together, and we need to act like that. And I think we will as a team. I think we really will, because we're a unique group. Unfortunately, this unique group has been sitting at home for a minute, but we got things coming. There's things scheduled at the SHOT. There's things scheduled at the stadium in Nashville for May. Good Guys car shows scheduled here in Columbus, which is before the fair, which is hopeful. So we'll just all keep our fingers crossed on getting back. Yes, sir. Sure.
Just to let everybody.
Yeah, that good chime in. That what Buzz, the president, was just talking about was one of the meetings we were on yesterday. Our president has mandated new rules for COVID to start on March 15th. Everyone's waiting in leeway to see what those are. That could be very little, it could be huge. So, but they've been asked to update those rules. We feel like the most of the update they're going to do is we all have to be treated equally whether we've had the vaccination or not. We all need to wear the protocols whether we've had the vaccination or not. We all have to treat each other the same, and the employer has to treat all the employees the same, or you'll get into liability. So if I've been vaccinated or I've already had COVID and I've already got vaccinated, you can't treat me any different than you treat this person that's had nothing. So something we need to keep in mind as we go through this process. I don't know if they got I was trying to wonder if you guys got the newsletter or not. There was just some safety tips, and we'll have them out in the mail to you guys. We're going to ask you to self-check before you come in, the same as we did for any training. You really need to do that, because if you get on a job site and the employer takes your temperature and it's above 100.4, you will not be allowed to work that day. So why would you drive in and come in, take your temperature in the morning? If your temperature is that high, you pretty much probably know you're not feeling well. Whether you need the money or not, you gotta be understanding and consider your coworkers, because if we get in this and this virus spreads all around stagehands real quick, they'll close our industry back down. And so that's why we really have to be focused on being successful with our PPE and understanding why shifts are staggered now, understanding why lunches are staggered now, understanding why it's going to take longer to get in some of these Broadways. With saying that, Kappa announced their Broadway series starting in November, all the way through next March. So we're hoping that's going to happen. Broadway set their own series of not security, but they're going to have COVID officers on their tours, and these COVID officers are pretty much in charge over the stage manager or anyone, and they're going to be from the Broadway, preferably with OSHA 10, knowing what's going on in the venue, bloodborne pathogen, hazard communication, which is covered in OSHA 10, which we will be training OSHA 10 by late March. I'll be giving those classes. Those will be free as well. So we're going to try to get as much training in March. Looks like a lot of it's going to be done the first week of March, because we've been granted the Palace Theater for a week. So we're going to take advantage of that. A little about me. I say like 600 times every meeting. It's all right. Been a head rigger for Rock on the Range, Sonic Temple, Columbus Convention Center for decades. Got a lot of background in rigging. Changed it over to safety. I feel as I've got older, I just turned 57, and as I've got older, I want to move more into safety and sharing my knowledge with people from what I've done and what I've seen and what I've experienced. So safety field seems to be the right way to go. So a little bit about me. So I'd like to hear from you guys. Kind of like to say your name and something you'd like for us to know about you, maybe a hobby or passion of yours.
I'm Bryce Lawson. I do photography on the side, and I play guitar. And I've been working at Promo West for like 2 years now. I worked in New York before that for 2 years.
Good deal. Good deal. Good answer. Good answer. Next. All right, good deal. Good deal. Good shout out, Tiffany. Good shout out. Yeah, and that's part of taking care of each other. That's kind of part of what we got to do with this COVID thing, and it's part of what we got to do on the job. The old way of, I don't want to teach you something because I'm afraid you're going to take my job. That's over with. It's over with. We all got to be safe. We all have to keep each other safe. If you see somebody walk underneath the truss, say, hey, don't walk underneath that. Well, it wasn't moving. That's just not really the basic thing to do. We don't walk under truss. You know, help them out, because all of us got help somewhere down the line the same way. I know we had to, there's more of a, well, you know, there was a lot of old school Local 12 at that time, and Tiffany, now we're the old school, so we can make a difference, and that's what we're trying to do. I want to talk about the Trainer Trust Fund. Everyone can get the Trainer Trust Fund. You just got to get a hold of Becky. These are all short little half-hour segments, 45-minute segments about safety. There's rigging, there's scaffolding, there's ladders, there's noise, COVID. That's a good one to take, 35 minutes, easy. COVID guidelines to get back to work. Then you can print off your little certificate, which is kind of cool. Rigging, you know, the scaffolding part, I've taken them all. The scaffolding part is kind of cool because it says 3 to 1 as you're building. There's a general rule. The ladders say 1 foot per 4 foot, general rule. So every 4 foot the ladder goes up, the ladder should be 1 foot out. That helps the angle. Noise, they had like noise. I never wear hearing protection when I mow, but we probably should. And if we look at professional mowers, those probably not radio things they got on. That's ear protection. Something we need to understand about ear protection is when we purchase ear protection, it is only those decibels, those dBs, off of the top number of the dBs. So a Harley police siren, around 120, 140 decibels. If you get a headset that's 20, takes away 20, that's really all it's taken away. So you're still over the rating and occurring hearing damage if you're in that area for a long period of time. These are all the kind of things that are in this. Please get a hold of Becky. Once you get that in there, you can get a free LinkedIn, and they have a lot of courses on there as well. We all got a little free time. Please take the COVID one, okay? That's it's Trainer Trust Fund. It's out of the International. If you can't find it, you can get a hold of Becky. She can give you the link. Once you get the link, you can print out the application, take a picture of it, send it to Becky. She can get it sent in. Usually takes 5 to 7 days. And then they'll send you a link on your email. Very, very informative though. A lot of different things I never really thought about, but free. That's the main thing. It's free. And we're going to do the CPR classes and stuff. Free to members. OSHA 10. You know, we've just now been able to get back into venues. So we're just going to pour it on. I'm the safety director for Local 12, excited to do that. And we are going to start safety continuously until everyone just takes it naturally. We get in a car now, we just put our seatbelt on. You know, our kids get in the car, they just put their seatbelts on. You know, when we were young, we had to be told to put our seatbelts on. But that's not the case. Now you just put them on naturally. That's a work culture that we want to create in Local 12. The same if every training session is this small, that's fine. That's fine. We're going to continue to do them, and we're going to continue to move ahead. And with the people that like to be here, then we're going to welcome them every time, or make them part of it. So, let's see. Sorry I have to read off this. I've had so much going on this past week, so it's kind of a hodgepodge. Okay, one more safety thing and we'll get into the rigging. OSHA states when we're on a job site, if OSHA comes in there, they're going to ask why every person doesn't have leather covered shoes, gloves, and helmets. So those are things that are important as we're bringing new people in, and as we see other people. If someone wears a pair of tennis shoes that just don't meet what you might think, you know, just share that with them. You know, say, hey, you probably should have more of a leather covered shoe, because if something gets run over, it's going to tear your toe off. Or we don't have to be that graphic, but but it happens. So the main thing is leather gloves. To think about, you know, riding a motorcycle, you wear gloves because now you don't put your hand and it don't get ate up. Well, it's the same thing in work when you get it pinched or bound in something. If you're not having an injury, are much less. Helmets. Everybody in here has got their own helmets, I would say. Does anybody have the Pizzelle helmet? These are accepted in our industry. They are not accepted in the construction industry. This is a Class C. Only Class A and Class B are allowed on the construction sites. This does, and the reason these are accepted in the industry is they have a stamp on the inside of it that says Z89 ANSI and SEA. What that means is the hard shell on this helmet has been tested, and it meets the rating the same as a hard hat does. It just doesn't have the bill on it. We don't have a need for the bill. The construction side of that is if something falls, it reflects off the bill and goes away from the body. Yes, sir?
I believe the difference is the suspension system that's held in that hard hat. So a falling object, such as a hammer or anything, that extra inch helps absorb that, where that's only got the bump. So it doesn't have the impact resistance of the falling.
Well,
bring all the way around. It's more about that extra inch between your head and the plastic that it gives.
right. Yeah, and I hear what you're saying, and there are Pizzelle helmets out there bike riding, but if you have a climbing helmet, such as this, it does have the netting in it, and it does have that little bit that you're saying for impact, and you're totally correct. They even go as far in the OSHA standards as saying you should not have a garment underneath your hard hat. So even if like a toboggan, shouldn't have your hat on backwards, shouldn't have a ball cap on and have it on backwards. Helmet. That's their standard. Something crazy about that as well is stickers are not allowed on helmets. They're not allowed on helmets. They give safety stickers out. Try to convince some of these companies, you know, because we're going to probably put out some stickers. What they're saying is that if it's painted or there's stickers on it, you couldn't see a crack in it. You couldn't see a flaw in it. If it had a big dent in it and you put a sticker over it, and then someone else wears the hat or whatever, then it's no good. So that's pretty important. We all need to have our own helmets. We don't need to share helmets in this time of COVID. Everyone needs their own helmets. Try not to share any tools. You know, if there's a wrench that you have in your bag that everyone else has touched, putting truss together, and you have a wrench, use your own wrench. It's just very important we don't share. Try to pack your own lunches. That way you don't have to go out into the downtown crowd and stay away from transportation, public transportation. A lot goes on in those buses. They don't get cleaned as much as we would like them to. So, all right. All right. You guys want to take a quick break or you want to keep going? It's about halfway done. That's about all I'm going to have is about that much again on rigging safety. Let's take a break. There's water up here. There's candy. Reminder again, the bathrooms are up at top. And when we come back, we'll jump on stage and